I've been involved in tax reform, age pension reform, housing reform, but in all those cases, it's not about trying to get the best outcome for only one segment of the population. It's really looking at from a point of view of what's fair, because many people in the industry, super industry, are about trying to get more money for retirees, better tax, more money. But then you think of, well, what about the hardworking other people on low incomes that are paying much higher tax, struggling to survive? And so I don't believe that good policy is about looking after one group of people. I believe it's saying, well, what's fair? In the past, we've been quite an ageist population, particularly post-war. They might have been the biggest spenders in the community, but you never saw an ad or a movie featuring elderly people. Nowadays, you do see ads, you do see movies, in fact, maybe too many featuring elderly people, but that's a really good thing. It's recognising the percentage of the population that is over 50. It's recognising their financial power, and it's affording them a respect that for a long time they didn't have. So I think it's important to look after them as a sector, because I felt in the past they hadn't been looked after. But I don't think that they get rights beyond other sectors. You know, when we're looking at tax reform or social security payments, we have to do it in the context of a whole society, not just one group. But in terms of encouraging employers to hire older people, to give them a chance, not penalising them for going back to work, that encourage them to keep working for as long as they want, that's what I think is good policy. Older people, they have a number of different needs. They have a need for personal expenditure, you know, to buy food and things like that. They have a need for accommodation, such as housing, and they have a need for health and eventually aged care assistance, whether it's in home or not. I'm always very cautious that we don't fight for only one component of that, like personal expenditure, which is what's funded out of superannuation, at the cost of the other areas, because all those areas are needed. And it's possible that if you just mount an argument to increase the tax deductions for superannuation or increase more money into super, what you're actually impacting is the other areas, such as housing, wealth, such as aged care costs, such as health costs. People need a multitude of things, and the danger is if you just put all your focus on one area, that you could actually pay a price across the others, because the country doesn't have an infinite resource in terms of taxing power. You know, we do have to balance everything. I really believe that to give good advice or to work in policy, you need to understand the detail, and you need to be able to see the issue through the eyes of many different stakeholders. They were the two things that really I got from my actuarial training. One is to understand the technical detail. The other is we are trained to consider aspects from all stakeholders, you know, whether it's employers or employees or policy holders or government or the community. And I think that's really valuable too, because I think the danger with giving advice or policy is too often people do it from a fairly narrow perspective of who they believe they're representing, instead of actually trying to think through what's good policy for the whole of society, for everyone.